Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Seeing surging in cases in counties, especially in the southern parts of the United States. We've gotten reports from our governors that the majority of the positive cases we're seeing are aged 35 and under. A large number of those are going to be asymptomatic. We've got our fatality rates and our hospitalization rates are the lowest they've been in 2 months, but this is a very serious situation. What are we doing about it? This is a county-by-county issue. So getting in there and getting to the bottom of why we're seeing cases surging.
Because young people are out doing stuff. It's that simple. I mean, is it hard? Why is this happening? I don't know. Because people are idiots. But we'd have been an idiot, too. I'm 49 years young. Do you think that at age 21, if somebody had told me you got to stay inside all day, I would have went and done it? Probably not. Why? You have the sense of it, nothing can happen to me. I'll be fine. It's just nothing more than the sniffles. And a lot of that for the younger age group is very true. The problem is when you're getting this many people that are sick, you're overwhelming certain areas of the medical world, not in every state, but we're seeing this stuff start to really grow again in a time when I think we thought it was going to at least kind of plateau and start to come down and kind of level off, and we were have a normal-ish Sunday in summer, and then potentially a reoccurrence in the fall because everybody thought this was going to be seasonal, and hopefully by then they would have a therapeutic and on their way to what? A vaccine. We're not there yet. We're not. Seeing people out and about doing stuff everywhere. A lot of people are frustrated. Look, I want to get this thing over and done with as fast as anybody else. I realize, and I never said it was a hoax, but a lot of people think it is. It's not real. It's a hoax. It's baloney. It's overblown. It's all of those things. Whatever it is, it's caused our economy to go right in the dumper. So we better figure this out sooner rather than later. I have friends at some hospitals who say, not a lot's going on. I have other friends in other hospitals saying we're converting other rooms to ICU. It's a mixed bag all over the place, but the reality is it's here and it's spreading, and the more we test, the more we find out that while the percentage-wise, the death rate is dropping, we are getting more and more positive tests.
This is a very different virus with this asymptomatic spreading. One of the bedeviling things about this virus is the asymptomatic spread of it, which means the traditional contact tracing of public health that our local authorities are so used to is a necessary but not sufficient protection. It can't just be sitting in a public health office making phone calls. We've got to get into the community. We've got to get dust on the boots. We've got to find the people and test entire communities to get our positive cases.
Yeah. It's ugly. And the young are out having fun. I don't blame them for it. I don't. And they're not going to listen because they don't. And having a press conference doesn't do anything. One of my producers is a millennial. He's 25. Because he works in and around what's going on in a day-to-day basis, he understands. But I asked him the other day. I said, Zoe, I said, any of your friends watch any of these press conferences, like with Doug Ducey here in Arizona or President Trump or anything? They're like, no. Well, they care. They don't even have TVs. There you go. Doesn't matter. Not paying attention. They think it can't happen to them because everybody thinks it can't happen to them. And here we are. Younger group, spreading faster, asymptomatic, and the thing is, they're asymptomatic. They find out they're positive. They haven't felt anything, so they think it's not a big deal. Tell their friends, yeah, I had it. It was no big deal. So don't worry too much about it. Living my life, having fun, doing all of those things. It's bigger than that. And what it's doing to our economy is something else that needs to be talked about. It's not just about the health of the individual and us as a nation physically. So there's also a mental component that goes with this on top of everything else. And the economic component, well, you can't literally put a price on that.
A substantial proportion of the people who are getting infected do not know they're infected. They're not symptomatic. They're asymptomatic individuals. The classic paradigm of identification, isolation, and contact tracing to actually contain that is very difficult to make that work under those circumstances. So in other words, we're dealing with young people who are going to be asymptomatic and people who are getting infected in a community setting, not an outbreak setting where you know who to identify, isolate, and contact trace.
And tell a 21-year-old, a 25-year-old with 4 roommates, sorry, you guys have to stay inside for the next 2 weeks. What? Nah, not going to do it. It's tough. It's tough. It is. I don't see this thing going away anytime soon. I don't think we're going to get to 2 million dead. But there's no doubt. You look at the numbers. Is it inflated? Some people say it's inflated. Some people it's undersold. It is what it is. Here's the reality of it. This is the situation we're in. Whether you think it's a hoax or you think it's the Great Plague, this is what we're in. How do we get past that? That's the only thing I care about. I don't care about the politics of it all, the politics of wearing a face mask, the politics. I don't care about that. How do we go from point A to point B? That needs to be answered. And right now, I look around. I think the Trump administration is doing all that much. I don't care what anybody says. You don't like Trump? Whatever. I don't think many of the governors across the country are doing the things that we need to do. We know who this affects the most. We know who this hurts the most. We know who the vulnerable population is. And it's kind of a slap hazard thing that we've put together. Lick of paint here, lick of paint there. But it does very little outside of that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Trump, not the best weekend of weekends. Yeah. The retweet. If you guys haven't heard the retweet. First of all, the entire battle in the retweet. So if you've not seen it, Trump retweeted a battle of seniors in golf carts, screaming at each other. And then somebody yells something at the end, but by then Trump had already just thought, that's great American right there, and retweeted something, not listening.
Officer! Get back in your car! Get back in your car! I got a woman! You get the officer! We don't need Nazi pig! Nazi racist pig! That's what you are! Trump! Racist! Yeah, you got it, you! White power! There you go, white power! You hear?
The funniest thing of all of this, right, is you got a bunch of people who are inside golf carts yelling at each other. So picture this. Older population. Nobody's touching each other. They're not throwing punches, but they're inside their golf carts yelling at one another. One's calling them Nazi pigs, and then eventually one screams white power. By then, Trump had tweeted it. So, of course, another situation where he went, I don't even think he listened to it. He saw somebody defending and thought it was funny, retweeted it. But once again, people start asking the question of what in the hell are you doing? Today is not a good day for Trump. I don't care what anybody says. Get your head out of your butt. This is not a good day. You're getting boat raced right now. Lots of time left in this race, but you are getting boat raced.
And if you take a look not only at the Fox polls, but the New York Times polls, in key battleground states, the president in many of those states is behind. Some states it's close and within the margin of error. But let's be honest about it. The president is behind today. All the national polls suggest that he's behind. Real Clear Politics average is now close to 9 points. 6 weeks ago, it was 5. Now, these things happen in campaigns. In May of 1988, George Herbert Walker Bush was behind Michael Dukakis by 19 points and won by nearly 8.
It does. It happens. Lots of time remains. But times of the past are exactly that. They're times of the past. When I hear people say polls don't matter, no, they do matter. They've learned from the mistakes in 2016. And within the margin of error. Remember, when you look at those polls in 2016, most of those polls had Trump losing, but by a couple percentage points. He wasn't down 11, 12, 13 points like he is in some polls. He wasn't down that much. I'm not saying it's over. 5 months is a long time. Or 4 months, really. 4 months is a ton of time. to set a new course and to do something. But when I hear people shoot back at me, well, let me tell you about the polls. They were wrong in 2000. Don't hang your hat on they were wrong in 2016. They'll be wrong again. 2016, you had two candidates that everybody knew, two candidates that one had a record that was long in politics, and she was reviled even by people who were voting for her. And you had one candidate that built a cult of personality, but a good portion of those votes were also, for him, were against Hillary. So don't think that 2016 is, well, this is just what it is. We're going to roll in there. You got a long way to go, but he is behind. Karl Rove's right. Things can change, but Herbert Walker Bush and Dukakis are not Joe Biden and Donald Trump. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Hope you are doing well. Crazy weekend, to say the least. Lunacy, nuts. You got a stock market that's going all over the place. And I tell people this with the stock market. It is not I think a lot of people think when it comes to things like the stock market that you look at it and, well, if the market's up, the world's doing great. Well, it's not really the way it is. And by the way, I believe the stock market is completely overbought, and eventually it's going to come back down to earth at some point in time in the near future. And if it wasn't for the Fed, they'd be really coming down. Then the dollar's getting crushed. So what do? You look for opportunities, and that's where gold comes in. Valor Gold is going to show you how to protect your wealth and retirement from the coming crash, especially potentially in the U.S. dollar, and the huge volatility, record volatility in the stock market. They've got over 50 years of experience over at Valor Gold, and we're talking about precious metals. This industry is an amazing industry, and it shows you how to diversify and have a little bit of everything. I always tell everybody, you don't put everything into it, but you put some of it in there. And it's about being smart. Diversification is huge. Plus, are you ready for this? Gold and silver, immediate source of income. You can add it to your IRA. Let's be smart about it. Valor Gold, 800-202-6936. Reserve your free exclusive copy of the number one way to protect your wealth with confidence. 800-202-6936 or visit valorgold.com/Chad. VALOR goldgroup.com/Chad. valorgoldgroup.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
President Trump has secured 500,000 courses of treatment of remdesivir, and this through September. This is the drug that, if you're hospitalized, can reduce the length of your stay by a third.
Yeah, so what's it cost? That's a good question. Well, let's find out. A bit, actually. You're looking at about $3,120 on average for remdesivir, about $4,200 for the long treatment, about $2,300 for the shorter version of the treatment is what each treatment's going to cost. I think a lot of people are like, oh my God, this is not, I repeat, this is not a vaccine. This is a treatment used, especially when you get to the point when you get into the hospital and it starts to get touch and go and get bad. This is a treatment that they're using.
This is the drug that, if you're hospitalized, can reduce the length of your stay by a third. And we're working to make with our states to make sure it gets to the hospitals most in need.
And there's always worry about, yes, I'm going to say it, supply. So Gilead and them are charging about, on average, $3,120, give or take, depending on how long you're in. And this is not given to people who may be at home and let's just say you feel like you got a touch of the flu and all of a sudden you realize, okay, I've got this, and it's not given to you. You're not getting this until you get into the hospital. What that would do pre-hospital, I don't know. But right now, $3,120, give or take, is what you're going to be charged for this, and I'm sure people will be outraged. It should be free. I get that, but no. Got to pay something for it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can, text the program. Check out the Instagram. I've got YouTube as well. Love hearing from all of you. So did he know or didn't he know? And this story is going to get big in the coming days about the bounty, potentially, that the Taliban was getting paid and other criminals in Afghanistan to kill U.S. soldiers.
President Trump is denying he was ever briefed on U.S. intelligence findings that Russian intelligence officers offered to pay Taliban-linked militants to target American troops in Afghanistan. The president tweeting Sunday night, quote, "Intel just reported to me that they did not find this info credible and therefore did not report it to me or VP." This denial from the president comes after the New York Times reported Mr. Trump was briefed on the intelligence findings in late March. A military official tells ABC senior U.S. officials were aware of the Russian effort for months, but this official did not know if the president was briefed.
Yeah, I mean, is it credible? Is it not credible? Is it possible? Absolutely, it's possible. And this goes back to another situation where Russia, fighting de facto wars all over the place, all over the Middle East, in certain parts of the globe, and it wasn't just American soldiers and personnel they were after. Apparently, it was any NATO personnel. So, yet again, another issue when it comes to Russia. Is this going to have an impact today? Probably not. But in the coming weeks, could this become a bigger story? That's a possibility. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Check out the Instagram and, yes, the YouTube and Chad Benson Show TV as well. So much stuff to get to. Bill Maher, what you doing? What you doing? Talk about it straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
So you ready? Here we go. Obama, what we gonna do? Inject it with the blue hand flu. Inject it with the blue hand flu. Come on. USA is the best. We don't need no COVID test. You're not gonna take away my rights.
Oh, my God, I love it. That's Sacha Baron Cohen. More Ali G, but he pranked a conservative get-together singing the Wuhan flu song. Look, here's the thing. Is it funny? It is. Do a lot of people out there not get it? Absolutely. Do I care that he calls it the Kung flu or the Wuhan flu? I do not. I do not. Well, it's racist. It's not. Get over yourself. Both sides need to stop taking themselves so serious. You got pranked. It was hilarious. Right? The right has the not-so-many prankers, but they got Veritas, right? Project Veritas that goes in and finds out stuff and says, ha-ha! And the left has a lot of prankers. And this was one of them. Get over it. It was funny. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Bill Maher. I like Bill Maher. I say that, I get pushback. He's a lefty, insane lunatic. And I just start laughing. I'm like, you, once again, need to be open-minded. Some of the stuff he says, you might agree with. Some of them you don't. That's totally fine. That's the way the world should be. This world nobody agrees with somebody 100% of the time, right? You mean to tell me in your relationship, your wife, your husband, your best friend, your mother, your father, you agree with them 100% of the time. That's insane. That is absolutely insane. So some of the things that, you know what, he says, I disagree with. Some of it I do agree with. This is one of those things where, you know what, I think we can all agree.
Black people have to demand that white people stop culturally appropriating how mad they are about racism. It's great that Caucasians have finally joined the fight for racial justice in unprecedented numbers, but hating racism the most? You can't steal that. Elvis taking Little Richard's act, that was bad enough.
But it's so true. I was telling producer Anthony, you look at these tear down the statue protests that go on, and you look at a lot of these things, what do you find? A majority of them are what? Pissed off, angry white kids that have moved into adulthood, that don't want to be in adulthood and use every opportunity to bitch, whine, and moan and to spread their insanity that they've learned in college by being indoctrinated by one side only as they've majored in I hate America. So the best thing that they can do is continue to do all they possibly can, taking every opportunity to jump at something that gives them the opportunity to stay young a little bit longer and be angry.
White people need to stop trying to cancel other white people whose heart is in the right place, but don't get it exactly right on the first try. Ellen DeGeneres felt enough pressure so that she erased a tweet that said, people of color in this country have faced injustice for far too long. Okay, that may not be exactly Black Lives Matter, but it's also very true and pretty close to what we're trying to get everyone to understand. Liberalism should be about lifting people up, and you don't do that by slapping down people who are trying to say, I'm on your side.
But that's what they do. It happens all the time. They eat their own. It's not enough. No matter what they say, it's not enough. Like I said, the Ellen thing was hilarious. She didn't get it right, so people came after her. Doesn't matter who you are. If you have an opinion now that isn't, not only that isn't part of groupthink, is an absolutely 100% in line, that doesn't support it the right way, it is crushed and you may be in trouble.
There was a sports announcer in Sacramento who tweeted, all lives matter, and immediately got fired, even though he apologized. What he said came from a place of ignorance, not racism. That difference is important. Someone could have just explained to him why there's a deservedly special reason we single out Black lives for protection. But now, instead of a possible ally, we create a bitter, unemployed person.
Boom. That's Grant Napier. He's right. He's absolutely right. You're not going to move forward by canceling everybody. But that's all anybody wants now. Look, your ally? No, I'll be your friend. I'll support you as a friend. Even if we don't agree politically, I'll support you. I'll support your right to protest. I'll do all I can to support change in this country. But I'm not going to go out and destroy people's lives, because that's a lot of what it's all about. And the funny thing is, so much of the destruction that's going on is pissed off, again, angry white kids and young adults who are pissed at the world because they're being asked to grow up. They think everything in the world is an injustice and everything is about them. Even if they're protesting about other things, it's mostly about them. Then what you have are people out there who, like, I can get behind that, might not be able to get behind the leaders of Black Lives Matter and a lot of the stuff that they're pimping, if you will. You know, so you get a lot of people out there who, like, Black Lives Matter. I understand the systemic racism. I understand a lot of these things, and I'm totally all for the average person that's out there protesting. What can we do to stop injustice? What can we do to build things up? And it's not just about the police. There's a lot of other things that we need to go into communities and to really do some stuff. Do I believe in Marxism? Do I believe in a lot of the other stuff that they're throwing out there? No, I don't. They have their right to. God bless them. Good luck to you. But what ends up happening is it's never enough, and it's not done the right way. And then what you find is people go, I'm just not going to say anything at all.
No wonder white people right now are acting like a nervous waiter on their first day. So scared of making a mistake, they put a fork in your iced tea and a straw in your salad. We don't want to chant the wrong chant or hold the wrong sign. Please, it's all we can do to clap on the right beat. You want to be a good ally, but not too good or you're being a white savior. Use your voice, but don't make it about yourself. But speak up unless it's your time to just listen. And then silence is violence. Even though sometimes silence just means someone works 2 jobs and has 3 kids. They have baby food on their shirt, not hate in their heart.
Yeah. And isn't that sad? Isn't that sad that we're in a position where everybody's afraid to talk about stuff because of fear? Fear of and it doesn't matter if it's Black Lives Matter, if it's issues about the LGBT community, if it's issues about wealth inequality, if it's issues about Trump or any of these. None of it matters because everybody else is at the point now where they're worried that the angry mob is coming for them. That one mistake, one missed tweet, one wrong retweet, one is going to get them to the point where they're fired and canceled and then pissed off.
I worry that the kind of tension that the guardians of gotcha are creating is going to make people afraid to mingle at all and thrust us back towards a resegregation of sorts, where instead of just seeing a person and not a color, now we're only seeing color. Maybe this is old school liberalism talking, but I don't think that's the way to go. Let's hang out. And if I up, tell me why, not goodbye.
Yeah. No, but you're not going to get that because there is no forgiveness. There is no oops. There is no forgiveness. I read an article yesterday about Megyn Kelly and what she went through at NBC. And let's be real, there was a lot that went with Megyn Kelly at NBC. She wasn't beloved. She's had some issues. She was tough to work with. A lot of times they look for something to get rid of somebody based upon issues behind the scene that you don't know, and you think, well, that feels a little bit unfair, but there's a lot to it. But she was right about the fact that, you know, she talked about doing blackface. It wasn't a picture of her doing blackface. She talked about doing blackface and paying homage to Diana Ross back in the day, and she was essentially canceled for that. Yet other people on their programs that are also as big as her, if not bigger, have videos of them doing blackface, and nothing happened to them. It's just the frustration that people have. It feels like it's a pick or choose world. And that's a sad thing. We need to stop canceling and start having conversations. It's that simple. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. The battle of masks are continuing to go on. I find it to be ridiculous. I really, really do.
I'm really struggling to understand from a medical and behavioral standpoint why people are not listening to medical and scientific advice, facts, data, recommendations, guidelines, and putting other people's lives directly at risk.
Part of that, and I'm going to say this, isn't because it's, oh, I'm American and you're taking away my constitutional rights. No, part of it is everybody's sick and tired of everything changing on a daily basis. And I know it's new, but when you say one day, wear a mask, next day, no, you don't have to wear a mask, then the next day, wear a mask. When you say this happens or that happens, and then the next day you change it, people get frustrated. People get angry. People are starting to think you don't know what you're doing. Nobody likes to wear a mask, except on Halloween. That's kind of the way it is. And then you say something like this, Dr. Jennifer Ashton.
When I hear people say, you can't tell me what to do, I think, well, we can enforce seatbelt laws. We can enforce not driving under the influence laws, because that not only affects your health, but those around us. We are in a really important phase right now with this pandemic, and not just people's health and lives depend on this, but our livelihoods depend on it.
When you start talking about enforcement like that, that's when people push back. That's when people push back. This is the way I look at it. It shouldn't be any kind of political issue. If you're going out and the place asks you to wear a mask, wear a mask. If you're going to be in a crowd of people, probably best just to err on the side of caution, because it makes other people feel better, which is part of the psychology that goes along with what's happening right now in the world of coronavirus. If they tell you need to wear a mask indoors, inside of your own house, say, kiss my ass. If they say you need to wear it in your car, you say, on you. If you're on a walk and they want you to wear a mask, shut up. Unless you're with a group of 20 people. Shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be. But it is. Stop making it political. But people do. They make everything political today. Does not matter. And that's the sad thing. That's the sad. We can make anything political. It is crazy. Leaf could fall on the ground. Somebody will figure out a way to make political. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Here's something that's not political, saving you money. Gabby.com/Benson. You're going to want to go there. In 2 minutes, I'll give you apples to apples comparison on things like homeowners and car insurance with amazing companies like Travelers, Nationwide, just to name a few. You link your information for the exact same coverage. They're going to give you what you should be paying. Maybe you're paying what you should be paying. Maybe you're overpaying. I was overpaying with my car insurance, right on with my homeowner's insurance. $825 what the average Gabby customer saves on a yearly basis. That couldn't be you. It takes 2 minutes. It's absolutely free. They're never going to spam you or robocall you. None of that. Go to Gabby.com/Benson. GABI.com/Benson to find out how much you can save on homeowners and car insurance. Gabby.com/Benson. Gabby.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
You go, boy.
This isn't about right or left. This is just about right and wrong.
Right you are, Chad. The Chad Benson Show.
Bacon, rotten eggs, and gunpowder. That's what outer space smells like, according to those who have been there.
They've taken more than a whiff or two of the residue on their spacesuits. According to many of them, space smells like a metal and fuel. Others say they've picked up notes of grilled meats. It's generally agreed that the aroma is slightly acrid, but not unpleasant. One space traveler even said the scent took him back to the summers of his youth when he worked as an arc welder. The smell is mostly attributed to dying stars, traces of which are reportedly everywhere.
Oh. So, if you're going to go to outer space, which we're all going apparently, sooner rather than later, thank you, Elon Musk, you'll be able to have open that window eventually and go, what is that? Oh, that is rotten eggs. Sounds like the Salton Sea. When I used to live in Palm Springs, the Salton Sea's not too far, and every once in a while, you get a whiff of it. There was weeks where it was just every day for several hours, just rotten eggs. I never had the bacon smell and gunpowder. So that's what you have. Ode to space. Who's ready for that, kids? Ode to space. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. In the world of canceling everything, everybody's canceling themselves because it's just easier. So last week, Jenna Marbles, who in 2011, and if you don't know who she is, she has, I think, across all the stuff, she had about 30 million followers that subscribed and or followed across all of her social media. She was huge. She canceled herself because of 2011, like just weeks ago and 9 years ago. She did a Nicki Minaj parody and she had blackface and she was canceled there. And so now we move to two other things, one of which has kind of been in and around being canceled. And the other one, well, it's new.
Another white actor stepping aside from voicing a black character on an animated TV show.
Oh, you gotta hear this new Eddie Murphy cassette I bought.
Mike Henry has voiced the character of Cleveland on Family Guy for 20 years. He writes on Twitter that it's been an honor, but persons of color should play characters of color, and he'd be stepping down. The Simpsons also said Friday that white actors will no longer voice non-white parts, which has been an issue in the past, specifically with Hank Azaria voicing the character of Apu. The moves follow actresses Kristen Bell and Jenny Slate earlier this week, stepping down from voicing biracial characters on other shows.
There you go. So there's that. I didn't know who was calling for it. I joked about it. Like Cleveland's paid by, and by the way, he also plays Consuela. So I don't know if that's going to end up going away too. There's not been that call, but I have a feeling that's going to happen. So do you just kill the character? It just disappears and you just never talk about it again? And how does that work? Like, okay, and here's a perfect example. And I know we're getting weird now. Let's get into the nuance and wackiness, but if we're going to go there, let's go there. What about, say, for instance, American Dad, where Roger the Alien is basically Paul Lynde, voiced by a straight man. Oh, Seth MacFarlane. Do we go, how are we working this? I just want to make sure that we cancel everybody in the right way. And do you get rid of those characters? And by the way, the character voice has very little to do. If you look at the writing, there was probably more of an issue there. And I don't know what Family Guy is going to do in the future. We'll see. Cancel culture, baby. Isn't it fun? Told you one day the jokes are going to be this. A non-gender specific individual walks into a place that may or may not serve adult beverages. And that will be the joke. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Your Twitter, check out the ChadShow.com. Grab your podcast and go to YouTube. Subscribe. Chad Benson Show TV. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Across the South and Florida, but particularly in the American Southwest, Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Phoenix, Los Angeles. And this is not just, quote, a hot spot, as was said at the White House task force. This is our major metropolitan areas, and we've got a huge issue, and the acceleration is extremely steep. It's a vertical rise. It's an exponential curve without, apparently, any real federal plan to do anything about this.
Yeah, it's a struggle. Dr. Peter Hutz right there, American scientist responding to the Pence task force briefing. Let's not pretend that things are perfect and rosy. Things are going up. We're seeing that. We're seeing surges. We're seeing that. What do the numbers really look like? We're never going to know that. We still to this day have no idea what the true numbers were for the Spanish flu. Over 100 years ago, we have no idea. 50 to 100 million? Some people are now saying more like 12 million. Over 3 waves. Globally. Really? Yeah. Are you sure? Well, that's what they're saying. Some people dispute other numbers. Welcome to the world we live at. And numbers are politics today.
We're seeing surging in cases in counties, especially in the southern parts of the United States. We've gotten reports from our governors that the majority of the positive cases we're seeing are age 35 and under. A large number of those are going to be asymptomatic. We've got our fatality rates and our hospitalization rates are the lowest they've been in 2 months, but this is a very serious situation. What are we doing about it? This is a county-by-county issue. So getting in there and getting to the bottom of why we're seeing cases surging.
Yeah, Alex Azar right there. Why? Because young people are out having fun. Young people are out doing stuff. The beach, the weather's here, it's warm. It's interesting. Like, people are like, why is it really booming in the Southwest? In particular, a place like Arizona, we had our highest numbers again yesterday, continuing to spike. Well, in the winter, the spring and the fall, we're out doing stuff. While everybody else is indoors or getting ready to head indoors, we're out living our lives. Because it's 72 in February, and it's beautiful. In the summer, it's 110. People head indoors. Plus, kids are out of school. They're partying. They're having fun. We've had some protest. We've loosened some of the old regulations, had to re-put some of them back on. And you've got a young group of people who walk around thinking, nothing's going to happen to me. It's no big deal. I'm totally fine because I'm young.
A substantial proportion of the people who are getting infected do not know they're infected. They're not symptomatic. They're asymptomatic individuals. The classic paradigm of identification, isolation, and contact tracing to actually contain that is very difficult to make that work under those circumstances. So in other words, we're dealing with young people who are going to be asymptomatic and people who are getting infected in a community setting, not an outbreak setting, where you know who to identify, isolate, and contact trace.
Yeah. Translation. Young people living their lives, having fun, going to clubs, going to beaches, being around each other in great numbers, not really paying attention to anything whatsoever because they're living their lives. They're 20-somethings to early 30-somethings just doing their thing. Not getting any of what they may be doing could be bringing other people to risk. I mean, this is just an at-risk group above them. Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa. They don't care, because I wouldn't have cared. You're 21. Most of us, when we were in our early 20s, right, our teens to our early 20s, even into parts of our early 30s, thought we were somewhat invincible, impervious to anything bad that could ever happen to us, because that's the nature of human beings. They're not bad. They're just doing their own thing. They don't understand it. And what happens is they find out of curiosity that they've had it, and they thought, well, it's no big deal. And so all their friends go, oh, so-and-so had it. It was no big deal. They don't understand what potentially could happen outside of that. Now you're getting Florida, California, Texas, Arizona, all doing what? Taking a step back, hitting the pause button. What's that do? Hurts the economy. The economy cannot afford another massive shutdown and expect to come out on the other side in any way, shape, or form that's not going to take us decades, in some cases, in some industries, to get themselves back to pre-coronavirus. And for the rest of those industries, it may take them several years to get there. The only thing this does is it helps the numbers, meaning now you go from, say, what looks like 10% in the death toll, which is what it's really not. They're saying now that as many as 20 million Americans have had this. And what ends up happening is it starts to push those numbers down towards the flu-like numbers. So right now, you're looking at about 0.6% if their numbers are to be believed at the CDC, which is hard to believe anything, which is a frustrating part in all of this. Because every day we get new guidelines, new things we need to worry about. It's not really smooth sailing. The World Health Organization, the CDC, the White House, individual states. I mean, think about how much you're inundated with information about this from all over the place. And doom scrolling is huge. If you don't know what doom scrolling is, essentially, it's like when you go to WebMD, right? You've got a pain in your neck, right? You got a headache it's on the right side. Next thing you know, you're looking, and by the 5th or 6th page, you're pretty much sure you've got some sort of disease, and you're counting down your days. You're starting to feel. That's what doom scrolling is. Some people are thrilled and excited and need disaster. And that's sad, but it's true. It's not going anywhere anytime in the near future. Are they going to sort it out? I think eventually we're going to get sorted out. Is it going to happen tomorrow? That I couldn't tell you. What I do know is they're going to find a therapeutic that really works pre-hospitalization. Remdesivir is what they're using right now. But pre-hospitalization, and hopefully all goes well, I think they're going to come up with, yes, I'm going to say it, kids, a vaccine. And that vaccine may only be as effective as the vaccine we get now. So, like, we get a vaccine now for the flu. There's flu A, flu B. They guess at which one's going to be first, because the way it usually works is flu A shows up or flu B shows up first. It'll last for a majority of the season. Then on the back end, whichever one wasn't first, the second one will hit in the back end. And sometimes they get it wrong. But about 40% to 60% is the level of which the flu shot works, and that's enough to slow it down. And then we have therapeutics, but at the end of the day, anywhere between about 50 and 80,000 Americans die a year. 50 to 80,000 Americans still die yearly from the flu. Could this be something like that continues to be around forever? The possibilities there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Something interesting over the weekend that is, it's getting some play. Not a lot in it yet, but the fact is Afghanistan, Taliban, Russia, bounties on people's heads, in particular American soldiers, servicemen and women, as well as some NATO personnel. Did Russia pay people, in particular the Taliban, to get some scalps?
There is no bottom to the depth of Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin's depravity. If that's true, it's truly shocking revelation.
Yeah. If that is true, and again, this is a big if. New York Times reported it. Trump saying, I don't really know anything about it. It's always a possibility that he didn't know anything about it. But if that is true, then something needs to be done. Something serious needs to be done. If another leader is putting bounty on your people's heads. Absolutely. Of course, Trump's like, I didn't know anything about it.
President Trump is denying he was ever briefed on U.S. intelligence findings that Russian intelligence officers offered to pay Taliban-linked militants to target American troops in Afghanistan. The president tweeting Sunday night, quote, "Intel just reported to me that they did not find this info credible and therefore did not report it to me or VP." This denial from the president comes after the New York Times reported Mr. Trump was briefed on the intelligence findings in late March. A military official tells ABC senior U.S. officials were aware of the Russian effort for months, but this official did not know if the president was briefed.
Yeah. So, very interesting indeed. Very interesting. Did he know? Did he not know? How much did he know? Did he take any of it seriously? And it wasn't just American soldiers. It was also NATO personnel. That's why, if any of this turns out to be true, which there's, from our intelligence, it sounds like it is, what's the next move with Putin? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Another loss today in the Supreme Court for Trump as well. And the right. Chief Justice Roberts sided with the liberals in a 5-4 decision when it came to the Louisiana abortion case. I think a lot of people thought this is, you've got a 5-4 situation here now. And Chief Justice Roberts is that new Kennedy. He's that new swing vote that at times will go one way or another way, and this, I think, will feel like a blow to Christian conservatives and to Trump. And I'm sure Trump is fuming, and I'm sure the tweets are going to be coming over and over again for the next several hours. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Rough Greens, my pup Doodle, runs around as crazy, living life like he never thought he would. To be honest, we had talked over the last several months of how much longer he could go on. Even though he wasn't super old, he was about 10. The fact is his hips were so bad that we didn't know what to do. He only eats his dry food, so Rough Greens came to us and said, hey, sprinkle this in there. See what happens after 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, we had a new dog. Those hips that were so bad because of his fatty tumors, he was bouncing around, living life. It's incredible. It's not dog food. It's just a supplement you put on right on top. That's all it is. 25 natural vitamins, minerals. You got digestive enzyme, powerful strains of probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9, just to name a few things. And it brings your dog's food to life. Simply put, best thing you're ever going to do for your pup. It can reduce or completely eliminate your dog's symptoms. And here's a great thing. 14-day jumpstart's $14.95. Think about that. 14-day jumpstart is $14.95. Your dog will thank you for it. Grab some today. Try it out. roughgreens.com/Chad or call 833-MyDog88, 833-MyDog88, or go to ruffgreens.com/Chad. Rough Greens, we make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Lots of stuff trending on the old webs of internet. Let's start first and foremost in the magical world of Twitter, where everybody has the chance to hate each other in different ways. Cam Newton looks like he is joining. Yes, are you ready for it? Yes! The Patriots. What? What's he got left in the tank? It's very interesting, Cam joining the Patriots, because total shift in the Patriot offense needed something like this, and everybody's concerned that Cam Newton's only interested in being a social media star rather than a football player. Well, to go to the Patriots says that I'm making a commitment that football is going to be my life, not my fashion. And Cam's a hell of a player. Trust me, running around, putting in the absolute destruction of his body that he's done for, a decade plus, I don't blame him for wanting not to take that many hits, but it'll be very interesting. SCOTUS is trending. Reason is pretty simple. The ruling on Louisiana and the abortion case went for the liberals. Chief Justice Roberts sided with the liberals. So, not a great start to the week for Trump. Ken and Karen are trending. If you've not seen them, I posted a picture. They're spectacular. It's a couple in St. Louis. It's a Black Lives Matter protest. I guess it was walking by, and they went outside. He's got his khakis on, pink shirt, like polo. He's got like an AR-15 or something. She's got like a little handgun. It's like, oh, really? Really? Head on over to Google. Fun stuff. Cam Newton again. Donald Trump. Tweet storm yesterday. BET Awards. Mississippi flag. Passed a bill to remove the Confederate portion of the flag. Sacha Baron Cohen was totally pranked. Conservative thing got together. It was hilarious. I'm not going to lie to you. It was super funny. I can laugh at that. Lizzo tells her 8.8 million fans being vegan is easy. You know what else is easy? Meat. Not going to lie to you. It's pretty easy. Just go. I had bacon yesterday. You know what bacon is? Delicious. And it also apparently smells like space. And Chase Rice. Now, I don't know who Chase Rice is. Maybe that's my bad. He's a country music singer, but I don't really know any of his stuff. But he held a concert, and people are mad at him, calling him selfish. He and another country star, Chris Jansen, packed area. It's part of the politics, I guess, of the world that we live in now. And it looks pretty packed. I'm not going to lie to you. Looks like there was a lot of folks there. So imagine being selfish enough to put thousands of people at risk, not to mention the potential for the ripple effect, and play a normal country concert right now at Chase Rice Music. Tweets Kelsey Ballerini to millions of her followers. So they played a concert. Don't do that. There was a lot of people there. I think at this point in time, if I played a concert, anybody'd show up just to get outside the house. But it wasn't maybe the sharpest thing to do. Let's be honest. But at least it was outside, right? Where they say you're 17 times more likely to catch it indoors than outdoors. But somebody's going to catch it. And then we'll hear about it. And they'll be like, who's there? Young people. What do young people do? Make stupid choices. Welcome to the world we live in. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
This is a very different virus with this asymptomatic spreading. One of the bedeviling things about this virus is the asymptomatic spread of it, which means the traditional contact tracing of public health that our local authorities are so used to is a necessary but not sufficient protection. It can't just be sitting in a public health office making phone calls. We've got to get into the community. We've got to get dust on the boots. We've got to find the people and test entire communities to get our positive cases.
Yeah. Younger generation, we're just talking about the concert. The young going out. They're having fun. They're living their life. They don't think anything of it. Because as far as they're concerned, them getting sick's not a big deal. Right? Them getting sick ain't no thing. They don't understand that their situation that they were in, whether they went to a concert or to a club, that their actions could have effects on other people. They don't get that because they're living in the here and the now. Trust me, I know. I have little ones. My son, if he can't get 1 million views in one day on something that he's never done or learn how to ride a skateboard and be Tony Hawk, this entire generation, they just, give up. Because all they think about, they don't think about any of the other stuff. My generation was kind of like that. Generation before was but it would never to this extent. There's a reason. Gotta take a selfie. Gotta look at myself. It's crazy. Welcome to the world we live in at this moment, at this time. So a young person going out partying or doing whatever they're doing, them catching it and having very little issues with it, they think it's no big deal. But seeing mom, who isn't really going to get sick either, who then sees grandma, who has the potential of getting sick, that's the issue. Thing is now, at this point in time, it's everywhere. So then the mask debate comes up. The mask debate is insane. Who can, what, where, who, huh? I mean, really, that's where we're at? Yeah, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. We're at some sort of debate, or should we or shouldn't we? Should we have a national mandate on the mask? Why don't we have it? Why everybody should wear a mask?
Social distance under all circumstances, and if you can't, wear facial coverings. But you don't need a national mandate. What you need are local leaders determining the circumstances in that community.
And I'm 100% behind that. Alex Azar there. Letting local leaders. If you're going to and this is the problem with the national mandate side of things. I'm a states' right guy. I think the states should handle their own. I think there's certain aspects that the feds have to handle. And I think then there's the states' rights. You know your state better than everybody else, right? Somebody in D.C. doesn't know Wyoming as good as Wyoming. Somebody in D.C. doesn't know what's happening in Arizona or New Mexico or Iowa. Allow their leaders to handle it. Those leaders need to be smart. But there's a debate about masks, and I find it to be bizarre. First of all, let's talk about who should and shouldn't.
There are basically 3 groups of people that probably should not wear a mask. That's toddlers under the age of 2, people with extreme respiratory distress acutely, and people who are unconscious.
Yeah. Did you get that last one, producer Phil? People who are unconscious should not wear a mask. So if you're unconscious, there's a great idea. Phil gets it. If you're unconscious, no mask. Little ones, no mask. People with bad breathing. But those are people also, the bad breathing people and the unconscious people, those are the people you should worry about. Right? Those are the people you should. So funny. Oh, my Lord. But we've turned it into politics. I tell you, into politics, it doesn't matter. We live in such a world of yelling at each other for no reason, giving your 2 cents and not wanting to hear back, attacking each other just for the sake of attacking each other. It's crazy. It really is. It shouldn't be a political issue. It should be a respect issue. I care about you enough that if I'm going to go in a store, I'm going to wear a mask because, you know what? If it makes people feel good and it makes people feel more comfortable about coming out and rejoining society because there's a psychological aspect that comes with this and potentially getting back out there and spending money, then good, let's do it. Zero problem with that. Zero. Some people have a problem with that. Taking away my rights. Nobody's taking away your rights. Stop being an idiot. If they come into your house and tell you got to wear a mask, then let's have a discussion. If you're on a walk or in a workout by yourself at the park and they say that you have to have a mask, let's have it. If you're going into a store, stop being ridiculous. Stop being ridiculous. But that's where we have landed now, into the ridiculousness. And it's turned out we got to find out who are insane and who's not insane. Case in point, this is hilarious. You've got Ken and Karen. You know what a Karen is? You know what a Ken is? This is Karen, pissed off apparently about mask at Trader Joe's.
This is Karen.
Democratic all of you! I have a breathing problem. My doctor would not let me wear a mask. So anyone harassing me to wear a mask, you guys are violating federal law. You get that? Get that on camera. Ma'am.
That's Karen. So Karen was taking all of her groceries out, and she was throwing her groceries, just heaving her. She's pissed off. She's angry. Throwing my groceries. I'm mad at you because you're Democrats and you're stealing my life and blah, blah, blah. This is Ken, which is the male version of Karen, also very upset about said mask.
We are being lied to. Our freedoms are being taken forever. And I will not be muzzled like a mad dog. And I will not have my health destroyed because you idiots can't read truth. You go along with the lies of the people who are trying to take down our freedoms and destroy our country. This is sick. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. I will not be muzzled like a mad dog.
Chad, I feel the same way. Okay. Who's muzzling you? Well, people are telling me to wear a mask. Well, why? Is it a horrible idea? Is it going to make things worse? Yeah, it's taking away our freedoms. No, it's not. Can't walk in naked. You could walk in naked to a store and you can get arrested for indecent exposure. And if it's a private establishment, they tell you do not come here without wearing a mask at this moment in time. That is their right to do so. Do I think that some governments have overreached in some areas? Yeah. But they're just doing everything they possibly can, throwing crap against the wall to see what sticks because they want to get out of this mess. But that's the lunacy. I will not be muzzled like a dog. Karen, you Democrats! Here's how both of them are just nuts. I'm just talking about Karens. Right? We've turned this into this lunacy of if you're a Trump supporter and a solid conservative, you won't wear a mask. And if you're a Democrat, you'll not only wear a mask, you put on a hazmat suit. I have friends who are Democrats who think it's a bunch of crap. Won't wear a mask. And I have friends who are Republicans and conservatives, and they will wear a mask. It's not either or. And I have some friends who don't care about the constitutional side of it, that battle that's going on, feel that they're sick and tired of every time they turn around that it changes. It's point A to point B, and you said this yesterday, but now you're saying this. And it's a lot of it. But it's more exciting to watch people argue over stuff, and the media gets more out of it when they're fighting. And we've turned it into some sort of divisive issue when it shouldn't be. We've got numbers that are going up. Is this the Ebola virus or the plague where you get it and you're basically, that's it, you're over and done? No, it's not. I think when all is said and done, it's probably going to be 3 or 4 more times deadly than the flu, but we'll probably never know. And what that means is the flu is 0.01%, so 0.1%. This will probably be 0.3 to 5%. So that means that you have a 99.5% chance of survival. Those are pretty good odds. But that's going to come in time. And then I think those odds will get better when we have a therapeutic and a vaccine. But the reality is we've got a rising tide of people that are sick and is putting pressures, especially on certain areas of the country right now, and they're feeling it. I can't believe we turned everything into politics. I shouldn't be surprised, but I am. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at us. If you haven't heard, SCOTUS ruled.
The United States Supreme Court has just struck down a Louisiana abortion law. It was signed in 2014, then put on hold, and it required every doctor who performed abortions have admitting privileges at a hospital that was no more than 30 miles away. Opponents said that was very restrictive, and by a 5-4 decision, the Supreme Court agreed, with Chief Justice John Roberts siding with the court's liberal body. 5-4, the U.S. Supreme Court striking down a Louisiana abortion law.
So there you go. So another loss for the conservatives, and what the conservatives thought was going to be a 5-4 always. And I think what people are starting to realize is Chief Justice Roberts is not what a lot of people thought he was going to be. He's very much a swing vote. And this was a contentious thing, and I think a lot of people thought this was going to be a walkthrough because you have a 5-4. And he said no. And there'll be a battle. Trump's going to, tweet throughout the day about what a horrible human being he is. Now he's not really a conservative and blah, blah, blah. I want my judges to interpret the law as best as they possibly can. The problem is we've now made it a 5-4, 6-3. So, I mean, it's just, it's crazy. And you would love to see politics taken out of it. But you can't, because you have human beings. And once again, Chief Justice Roberts, on another big issue, sided with the liberals. And it's weird that we have liberal and conservative judges, but we do. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet me, text at me, check out Chad Benson Show TV on YouTube, like and subscribe. We're getting more and more stuff going. All right, Valor Gold. Valor Gold. There's hills. And over them hills, there's gold, and then there are hills. Gold and silver's been around forever. Do you know if you put the same amount of money 20 years ago in the stock market, bond market, and the same amount in the gold market, the difference, 300%. 300%. That's what gold has outperformed. What? Yeah. And gold's still performing quite well. Huge volatility. We have a dollar that's weakening. Now is your chance to figure out how you protect yourself to the downside in an overinflated market, as well as give yourself an opportunity to grow your portfolio net worth. That's what it's all about. Valor Gold Group. They've got a time-tested strategy, over 50 years of experience in the precious metals industry. They're going to help you diversify your investments, protect you from the losses, and give you an immediate source of income and money. Gold and silver is also qualified for your IRA. Call 800-202-6936. You can reserve your free exclusive copy of the #1 way to protect your wealth with confidence. 800-202-6936. Or visit valorgoldgroup.com/Chad. VALOR goldgroup.com/Chad. Protect your wealth and retirement today. valorgoldgroup.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
I, you, he, she, it. Lucy is a girl.
Point of personal privilege, please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Shut up, boo. Ain't nobody got time for this.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
I think that there's just a level of uncertainty with players that exists just as it does for all of us. I would just say that everybody who asked the question, are we going to have football this year? I don't think the players even know the answer to that. So just a level of uncertainty, a cloud of uncertainty right now hovering over the entire NFL, and I suppose I could say the entire sports landscape.
Absolutely. I don't know if there is going to be football. I'm assuming there's going to be the NFL. I couldn't tell you about college. I could not tell you about college at all. The NBA, I feel like there could be, but then there's a portion of me that says maybe it starts and then stops again. Golf's taken place, but they've had a few people that have tested positives. And it's football to me would be the absolute crusher. It would be. For Major League Baseball, they're supposed to start soon. In fact, remember, about 6-8 weeks ago, the thought was this would be when it started. We'd have baseball on 4th of July, and the season would be off and running. So you're looking at hockey having several places where the teams play, not at home arenas, just kind of like they'll pick 6 or 7 arenas, and those teams will play in those areas. Basketball is going to be in bubble, and for baseball, well, it's going to be home field, but you're only going to play teams from your own division in the 60 games. And then if you're in the American League, you play the American League West, you play the National League West. And if you're in the National League, you'll play the American League West. That's the way that's going to work. But I don't know.
Remember, there's no precedent for this. There's been no training for any of this. There's been no formal education of players. And along those lines, what I'm hearing from teams is they're getting initial pushback from some players regarding the health and safety protocol. Some players are ready to go all in on social distancing and wearing masks, and other players are skeptical about doing that. And let's face it, baseball has a better chance of making this work if everyone's pulling the rope in the same direction.
Yeah. But does that work? Is it going to happen? I couldn't tell you. Could not tell you. What I do know is this is kind of where we're at. Is it looks like stuff's going to take place, but I'm not sure it's going to take place. I think one of them will not get off the ground. I think one of them will and may stop, and I think one of them is going to play all the way through. What does that look like? Oddly enough, hockey could be the one that ends up being the one. Golf has had a few issues, but there's social distancing. There's not a ton of people. They're doing a pretty good job. So it's weird. It's weird. So far, watching the European soccer leagues, they seem to be doing a pretty decent job of testing and keeping people and the players safe. But you're still going to have positive tests. And that's an inevitability just because of the community spread. It's everywhere. So how would you even know where you got it? It's part of the issue as well, right? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from all of you. Crazy, fun day. Crazy, fun weekend. I mean, you're heading into 4th of July. You've got people battling everything politically. You've got a virus that has swept the nation and the world. And, oh, by the way, we also have a presidential race. Just to name a few loony things. America, 2020 has been a ride, and we're only halfway through it. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Louisiana law required any doctor who performs an abortion to hold active admitting privileges at a nearby hospital. Justice Stephen Breyer said the law imposes an undue burden and is thus unconstitutional. Justices Ginsburg, Kagan, and Sotomayor joined the opinion. The fifth vote came from Chief Justice Roberts, who said he did not join the liberals on the merits of the case, but on the precedent, since a similar case out of Texas was struck down 4 years ago.
Here's the thing with Chief Justice Roberts. Everybody's going to be pissed at him. A talking point today. Chance to shoot down choice. There's a great chance to shoot down choice. He didn't side with them because he's like, I'm all for choice. Because he is conservative. He doesn't want the court involved in this. He's very much, why are we picking this up? Didn't we just talk about this like not too long ago? I feel like that this is another situation where we're just looking to get all the political issues up to the court because of what? where you think the court is now in the balance of power.
This is a blow to those who are seeking to restrict abortions and a vindication for those who want to guarantee women's right to abortion based on a precedent that's only 4 years old. The Supreme Court is essentially saying here, just because one president picks a different justice doesn't mean the law automatically changes.
Yeah. Translation. He didn't want to get involved in this. Just because you've now stacked the deck, I don't want to change things because you've stacked the deck. And then that's what we're going to do. But it also shows you how skewed the court is in their other directions and the way that they voted. And that's the sad thing. I think Chief Justice Roberts is about the only one. He cares about what the court looks like. He cares about the precedents it set before. He cares about the legacy of the court. He's not interested in the politics of it. And I know that frustrates a lot of people on the right because they think, well, you got a 5-4, so everything should be a slam dunk. No. He's coming at it in a different way than neither of those sides are coming at it. One's coming at it in one direction, the right side, we know which way. The other one's coming at it this direction, the left side, we know why. He's coming at it from, no, let me review this. Let's not get into this because of the politics. What's the merit of the case, and why are we doing this? Are we doing it because of politics? If we're doing it because of politics, we've already talked about this. There's no reason for us to talk about this anymore. We just did this a few years ago. Now that you've got something on your side, you decide to bring another thing. And that frustrates a lot of people. It does. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. Text the program as well. To mask or not to mask.
Social distance under all circumstances, and if you can't, wear facial coverings. But you don't need a national mandate. What you need are local leaders determining the circumstances in that community.
Alex Azar is correct about that. I like to see that happen. Here's the problem with that. People don't pay attention the way that they should. Especially the younger generation, which is where we're seeing these massive jumps when it comes to positive tests.
A substantial proportion of the people who are getting infected do not know they're infected. They're not symptomatic. They're asymptomatic individuals. The classic paradigm of identification, isolation, and contact tracing to actually contain that is very difficult to make that work under those circumstances. So in other words, we're dealing with young people who are going to be asymptomatic and people who are getting infected in a community setting, not an outbreak setting where you know who to identify, isolate, and contact trace.
Yeah. Younger generation. Younger generation, younger generation, younger generation. When you were 21, did you feel invincible? I didn't feel invincible, but I felt kind of bulletproof, if you will. I didn't think, the flu was going to kill me. I didn't think, you feel that way. So you've got young people that have been figuring out what's going on in their lives. They're stopped down. Some of them are at home. Some of them are working from home. Some of them unemployed. And this goes from, the 18, the 20-somethings all the way up to the mid-30s. And they're running around now because they feel like, I've loosened it up a little bit. It's summertime, et cetera, et cetera. So this is the issue we're having.
We're seeing surging in cases in counties, especially in the southern parts of the United States. We've gotten reports from our governors that the majority of the positive cases we're seeing are age 35 and under. A large number of those are going to be asymptomatic. We've got our fatality rates and our hospitalization rates are the lowest they've been in 2 months. But this is a very serious situation. What are we doing about it? This is a county-by-county issue. So getting in there and getting to the bottom of why we're seeing cases surging.
Because people are out and about, having fun, living their life, thinking they're bulletproof, going to clubs, going out, doing stuff, protesting, going to rallies, going to concerts. We saw the big concert from the country guys. They're going to the beach. They're living their life. And even if they're not going out in massive groups, they're hanging out in groups because they're not worried about it. And that's the way that it's going. So what that does do, though, is it's putting pressure on hospitals. Because while they may not be getting sick to the point where they're going to be in the ICU, they may have to go to the doctors, they may have to go to the hospital, their mother, their father may get sick, it goes on. And what ends up happening is you're seeing the pressures on the hospitals across the country, especially in larger metropolitan areas that are facing real issues here. Florida's had to cut back. Bars, Texas, the same thing. They're closing down bars across 7 of California's counties. I mean, it's happening. Here in Arizona, we pushed the pause button. I don't know what that means, but it's pause time.
This is basically socializing. You have graduation parties, you're going out, you're doing different things, and in certain environments, that's going to be conducive to transmitting the virus.
Yeah. It's frustrating. It is. I get it. We're all frustrated. We've made mask wearing or non-wearing an issue, which is just asinine. It really is. It's crazy that we're talking about it. And people say to me, Chad, you're not a huge fan of the mask. No, who is? Name a person that's super excited about mask wearing. Name somebody who's going, oh my God, I can't wait to wear them, except on Halloween. But I respect other people. To me, it's not about myself. It's about other people. Sometimes I forget. Dude, that's the other thing. Sometimes I forget. Like, I was looking around. I'm like, I swear my mask is in here because they're asking us to wear it around the studios. Now, I'm very fortunate. I get here today. I was here at like 2:45 in the morning. Nobody here. I'm doing work. There's nobody in the building. I don't have to worry. Outside of the news morning show and getting stuff. I don't have to worry. I stay to myself most of the time, but then I've got another show with my partner, and we've got several producers and other, there's news people, and I'm on the other side of the building. So I wear my mask as much as I possibly can. I was looking for it. This weekend, I went to one place, I had to go do a little grocery shopping. It wasn't mandated. I still wore it because it makes people feel comfortable. I'm fine with that. If they tell me wear my mask in my car, I'll say kiss my ass. If they say wear my mask in my house, I'll say on you. If they tell me when I'm on a walk, you need to wear a mask. I'm working out at the park by myself with nobody in 100 yards distance of me. You need to wear a mask. I will say on you. It's about respect. And we've lost respect for one another, and that's just the reality of it. We've lost absolute respect for one another. And it's sad but true. I don't want it to be that way, but it is. Because if we didn't lose respect from one another, we wouldn't have situations like Karen.
This is Karen.
Democratic all of you! I have a breathing problem. My doctor would not let me wear a mask. So anyone harassing me to wear a mask, you guys are violating federal law. You get that? Get that on camera. Ma'am.
Now, is that true? I don't know if Karen had a breathing problem. One thing I do know is Dr. Jen Addison has said
there are basically 3 groups of people that probably should not wear a mask. That's toddlers.
She's not a toddler. That I do know.
Toddlers under the age of 2, people with extreme respiratory distress.
That she may be, according to her and her doctor, and I know she's not this one.
Acutely, and people who are unconscious.
Which a lot of people would like to see. It's not very nice, Chad. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Text the program as well. It's just chaos. It really is. I just sit back and I go, how do we... First of all, how is it that we're almost 7 months... I just want everybody to know this. 2 days from now, we're in July. How are we 7 months into this year? And we're talking about crazy, chaotic stuff like coronavirus. Are we going to have sports? Keep going on and on, kids. Just, are we going to have sports? Are we going to, oh my God, it's Black Lives Matter. We're tearing down statues. We're pissed off at each other for no reason. We're canceling everything. I'll be glad that the first half of this year is over. I just hope the second half doesn't have a hold my beer moment. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. So check it out. You're at home, you're hanging out, you're doing your thing, and you're saying to yourself, self, I can't hear anything on the computer because the kids are too loud. These headphones I have are useless. It's time to get the best earbuds around at half the price of any other premium wireless earbuds. Those are Raycons. E25, best model yet. 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, more compact design. It gives you the nice noise isolating fit. You're going to absolutely love it. So comfortable, perfect for the conference calls, for video chats. Maybe you're just relaxing, want to binge your favorite podcast like the Chad Benson Show. And the beauty of it is not only they're stylish and discreet, no dangling wires, no stem. You're going to be obsessed with them like Snoop Dogg, like Cardi B, and like so many others. On top of that, half the price, well under $100. And I'm going to save you 15% right now. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. That saves you 15% off the already low, low price. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
It was about a chance that Trump doesn't run and he's reelected. Now it's about a 50-50 chance he doesn't run. He's going to have the worst Monday he's ever had in his life when his story continues to explode.
Yeah. He's not having a good Monday. He's just not. That's the reality of it. I don't care how you spin it. He's not having a great Monday. Courts shut down an abortion case out of Louisiana. You've got the breaking news over the weekend in the New York Times that apparently the Russians had put bounties on U.S. servicemen and women and U.S. personnel in Afghanistan, as well as other NATO allies that were operating in the region. And then you see the COVID continue to spike. Right now, this is an issue. And he's got to figure out how he deals with it. If it was today, and it's not, I think Trump gets crushed if it was today. But the election is not today. But he is behind. And I know what people say, don't worry about the polls. Polls are wrong in 2016. This isn't 2016. Stop going on the polls are wrong in 2016. This is today.
And if you take a look not only at the Fox polls, but the New York Times polls, in key battleground states, the president in many of those states is behind. Some states it's close and within the margin of error. But let's be honest about it. The president is behind today. All the national polls suggest that he's behind. Real Clear Politics average is now close to 9 points. 6 weeks ago, it was 5. Now, these things happen in campaigns. In May of 1988, George Herbert Walker Bush was behind Michael Dukakis by 19 points and won by nearly 8.
Yeah, there's a long way. There's absolutely a long way to go. This race, and as we all know, there's going to be some ebbs and flows. There's going to be some stuff that turns around for Trump. Maybe COVID slowly but surely dissipates. They find a vaccine. They get some therapeutics. The numbers fall. We start to see the economy improve. Maybe it stays like it is right now. It's more chaos, more craziness. More lunacy. That's a lot. People are frustrated. Trump could come out and say, look how many people support me. 95% of Republicans. I get 95% of Republicans support you. But where have you built other parts of the electorate that's going to come in and say, I want some of that?
So the question is not where are the polls today, but what does the president need to do in order to regain the advantage? And remember, he's got some powerful tools. He is the president, and all these polls show that on the issue that tends to be number one in a campaign, namely the economy, he still has an advantage. But what does he want to do next? No president gets reelected by simply saying, I've done a good job. So he was asked this question by Sean Hannity. He needs to get a better answer. What are the big choices that he wants to make this issue about? Things on which he can contrast himself with Joe Biden.
Yeah, because he does ramble. And saying you're great isn't what people are looking for. What's the next 4 years you're going to bring you?
What are your top priority items for a second term?
Well, one of the things that will be really great, you know, the word experience is still good. I always say talent is more important than experience. I've always said that. I never did this before. I never slept over in Washington. I was in Washington, I think, 17 times. All of a sudden, I'm president of the United States. You know the story. I'm riding down Pennsylvania Avenue with our First Lady, and I say, this is great. But I didn't know very many people in Washington. It wasn't my thing. I was from Manhattan, from New York. Now I know everybody. And I have...
That means nothing to anybody. That means nothing to anybody. What are you going to do? What's your agenda? To right the ship? To start to bring the country back together? To get us out of this chaos and craziness of COVID? Give us something other than you are great and you didn't know anything about anything that went on in Washington and you didn't know anybody but a few people and now you know everybody. I want more than that. I think everybody else does. We know what Biden stands for. Gibberish. And whatever anybody in the Democratic Party tells him to stand for. But to build a bigger base, which is what you're going to need, what is it that you're going to do? And I think it's a fair question. A lot can happen between now and November, and I think a lot will. We saw what happened the first part of this year. God only knows what's going to happen the second part. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Chad Benson Show Facebook and Chad Benson Show TV on YouTube. Subscribe and like Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Coronavirus going up. Out of the way. Some places. It's not a good look. You're trying to get the economy back on track. It's a struggle. It's got to be driving Trump nuts. Driving everybody nuts, by the way. It's driving everyone nuts. Who doesn't want to be back into a situation where you're watching a ball game, going to the movies, going out to dinner, having fun, seeing your family? Who doesn't want to be living life normal again, not worrying about whether or not you're going to get a second stimulus? And hopefully they continue their $600 extra bucks a week for people that are unemployed, and knowing that we want some stability. The reality is, it's ugly right now, and it's not getting any better anytime soon. And that frustrates the president to no end, but he also doesn't help himself. Case in point, yesterday, Trump goes and retweets. First of all, take away what the person says at the end. Let me paint the picture. Old people in golfing carts yelling at each other about Trump and who he is and how they support him. It's hilarious. But then at the end, which I know Trump didn't watch the entire thing, because if he did, if he watched the entire thing and he retweeted it anyway, then he's an idiot. But I don't think he did. I think he just saw something, thought it was kind of funny, retweeted it, moved on with his life, because that's about as much as he glosses over, and that's his attention span. But you got old people arguing in golf carts. Hips were flying. No, they didn't touch each other. I thought, oh, somebody's going to break a hip. It's going to happen.
Officer! Get back in your car! He said to me, get back in your car! I got a woman. You, where's the officer? We don't need Nazi pig! Nazi racist pig! That's what you are. Trump. Racist! Yeah, you got it, you! White power! Yeah, there you go, white power. You hear that?
It's not a good look. It's not. I'm sorry, Trump. Why are you mean to Trump? I'm not mean to Trump. Just being honest. It's not. You got issues right now with race in this country. You're talking about what a good guy somebody is, and they scream white power. Now, I don't know those people. They're getting called Nazis, and They're getting called, pigs and stuff. But the whole look was ridiculous. And you're thinking to yourself, this is where we've become. We've become a nation fighting over whether to wear a mask or not wear a mask. We're arguing over the bizarrest things. We're getting rid of everything left, right, and center. Cancel culture has become not just a portion of what it is that we do. It seems to be all that we talk about now is what's getting torn down next. What can we get rid of next?
We have a great country. We have the greatest country on earth. We have a heritage. We have a history. And we should learn from the history. And if you don't understand your history, you will go back to it again. You will go right back to it. You have to learn. Think of it. You take away that whole era, and you're going to go back to it sometime. People won't know about it. They're going to forget about it. Now, what I like the idea of building new statues to people, to great people, people that have done something. And I think that's okay. But you don't want to take away our heritage and our history.
No, and I'm okay with that. I've said, let's enact other statues, bigger and better, next to those. Talk about the great sacrifices that people made in fighting slavery, racism, Jim Crow. Many of those statues that were erected were put there for a reason. To remind people of color, black people in particular, know your role. Know your role. All right? Just understand that you're not what you think you are. It would put there more as an intimidation factor than a celebration of. Do I think it goes too far in some of these things? Absolutely. I think we all know that. Are we going to get rid of Washington? I'm assuming George Washington will be gone one day. Woodrow Wilson, he's gone. I'm assuming that we're going to get rid of a lot of things that you would sit there and go, this feels like a bridge too far? Well, the bridge too far is here. It's absolutely here. And it's not bringing us closer. It's just pissing us off, and it's confusing us. Bill Maher went off this weekend, and I thought what he said was absolutely fantastic. I really did. We're not dealing with the issues. By the way, pulling down a statue is not dealing with the issues that need to be dealt with, especially when it comes to race. But then you've got something else happening in the world of race, which is, hijacking, if you will.
Black people have to demand that white people stop culturally appropriating how mad they are about racism. It's great that Caucasians have finally joined the fight for racial justice in unprecedented numbers, but hating racism the most? You can't steal that. Elvis taking Little Richard's act, that was bad enough.
Well, geez, Chad. Being me? No, I'm being honest. I've said, you go look at a lot of these protests. What do you see out there? A bunch of pissed off. The Chaz is the perfect thing, or the chop, whatever you want to call it. The perfect example of hijacking a situation. George Floyd's death, his murder, at the hands and knee of an officer in Minneapolis that sparked a widespread protest. By the way, those protests were everywhere, not just here. Great Britain, in France, in Australia. They were everywhere. So you have that. And what do you get in a place like the Chop? It starts out like that, then what it is. It becomes a festival. We're angry. We don't want to grow up. We're pissed off at the world. Mom and Dad's given us all this great opportunity. We've been indoctrinated out of school, etc., etc., etc. It's hilarious. You're virtue signaling and hijacking and trying to get left of the left, because in a lot of cases, especially for young white 20-somethings, it's more about growing up or not wanting to grow up than anything else.
White people need to stop trying to cancel other white people whose heart is in the right place, but don't get it exactly right on the first try. Ellen DeGeneres felt enough pressure so that she erased a tweet that said, "People of color in this country have faced injustice for far too long." Okay, that may not be exactly Black Lives Matter, but it's also very true and pretty close to what we're trying to get everyone to understand. Liberalism should be about lifting people up, and you don't do that by slapping down people who are trying to say, "I'm on your side."
Yeah, and here's the thing: it's no longer just enough to say, "I get, I understand. I fully understand." I could look at the systemic racism in this country, and a lot has to do with, and here's the thing, everybody takes it personal. When you talk about systemic racism, I think, well, you're saying it about me, Chad. No, I'm not saying that. About a system that was set up, and the biggest crime out of everything outside of slavery was the way that some of the systems were set up, in particular things like the court systems. That you see over, you look at two people, white and black, and you look at essentially the same kind of rap sheet or non-rap sheet, and you see who gets sentenced in certain ways. The way that the inner cities have been abandoned. And I don't just blame that on, I mean, I look at the Democrats and I hold your feet accountable. You're the ones who wants to take money and throw it in there. And the problem is for years, 50 years, you have hijacked the African-American vote and people, and you've done nothing with it. You haven't changed anything. You haven't done anything. And you've taken for granted over the last 2 or 3 decades their vote. And the Republicans, you've failed to try to win over. It's ridiculous. It is. It's absolutely ridiculous. And now we've got a culture where we're canceling each other over a bunch of crap that we shouldn't be canceling each other over. Rather having conversation, everybody keeps their mouth shut for a reason. Because they feel like, why would I want to be involved in a conversation where I'm going to get yelled at, then I'm going to get upset, and then everybody's going to try to cancel each other, and we're going to get nowhere.
No wonder white people right now are acting like a nervous waiter on their first day. So scared of making a mistake, they put a fork in your iced tea and a straw in your salad. We don't want to chant the wrong chant or hold the wrong sign. Please, it's all we can do to clap on the right beat. You want to be a good ally, but not too good or you're being a white savior. Use your voice, but don't make it about yourself. But speak up unless it's your time to just listen. And then silence is violence. Even though sometimes silence just means someone works 2 jobs and has 3 kids. They have baby food on their shirt, not hate in their heart.
Yeah. And that's true. I think the other thing that's missed is a lot of people think that white people walk around all day thinking of things that are nefarious and bad. And like everything else, people just trying to get their lives through the day. They don't understand it because they're doing their own thing. Nothing's wrong with that. I mean, if we sat around all day and just thought of all of the injustices in the world, you'd be depressed, frozen with fear. But we're busy doing other things, except for a lot of young kids out there who aren't doing anything except bitching and whining and moaning about how evil the world is because they don't really want to grow up, because when they find out they're going to get in the real world, they're going to find out it's the real world. And it's like a grundle shot day in and day out at times.
I worry that the kind of tension that the guardians of gotcha are creating is going to make people afraid to mingle at all and thrust us back towards a resegregation of sorts, where instead of just seeing a person and not a color, now we're only seeing color. Maybe this is old school liberalism talking, but I don't think that's the way to go. Let's hang out. And if I f*** up, tell me why, not goodbye.
Yeah, simple as that. And here's the other thing. Sometimes people don't like other people. Not because of their color of the skin, but because they're a-holes. You ever thought of that? Well, never really thought of that. And sometimes people are jerks and they're bigots. It's crazy. We can't, it's, you know, the content of the heart, the color of the skin. Well, I don't want you to see past me. I don't see past you. You're black. To me, it makes no difference what color you are. Are you a good person? Are you a decent person? That's all I care about. The rest of it means very little to me. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat, progressive or conservative. I work with all kinds of political leanings, people of color, women, gay, straight. I could care less. Too many people do. I always tell everybody, I'm not going to be your ally because we're not at war. What I will be is your friend, and I'll support you. If you want me to march side by side, I absolutely will. But that's never enough anymore. Everybody wants this world of craziness, right? Of intersectionality, to have a step up, a step up, a step up, a step up. That's not a winning formula. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me, Gabby. Gabby.com/Benson. What is it? Well, it's a great way for you to save money. Save me well over $1,000. I went to Gabby.com/Benson, as you can do. Put in your homeowner's insurance and your car insurance. You're going to get apples to apples comparisons of 40 of the biggest insurers around on the exact same coverage you currently have. For me, $1,000 on my car insurance, my homeowner's insurance, I was paying the right amount. They don't spam you. They don't robocall you. They do none of those things. Average Gabby customer saves $825 a year. That can be you. It's absolutely free. It takes 2 minutes. Find out what you can save on your homeowner's insurance and car insurance by going to Gabby.com/Benson. That's GABI.com/Benson. Gabby.com/Benson. Chad Benson Show.
Check out our Chad Benson Show Facebook page where you can hang out or hang your grievances out to dry. This is Chad Benson.
Another white actor stepping aside from voicing a black character on an animated TV show.
Oh, you gotta hear this new Eddie Murphy cassette I bought.
Mike Henry has voiced the character of Cleveland on Family Guy for 20 years. He writes on Twitter that it's been an honor, but persons of color should play characters of color, and he'd be stepping down. The Simpsons also said Friday that white actors will no longer voice non-white parts, which has been an issue in the past, specifically with Hank Azaria voicing the character of Apu. The moves follow actresses Kristen Bell and Jenny Slate earlier this week stepping down from voicing biracial characters on other shows.
So that's happening. I don't know. I mean, it's to me, it feels very much like it's a cartoon. Just get over yourself. It's a cartoon. That's the way I look at it. Well, Chad, it's different. I mean, the writing, if you want to get mad at anything because you think that there's wrong things about it, it's the writing can be perceived as, especially with Family Guy. Family Guy goes after everything. Republican, Democrat, Christian, Hindu, black, white, gay, straight. They go after everything. I mean, now the question is, what do you do with those characters? I mean, you get rid of, they've get rid of them? Do you get rid of Apu? Do you find somebody who sounds like they're Indian because they're Indian and bring them in? And what if they have to use that accent? They're really not. Don't have that accent. That's where does it end? And I think that's a fair question. In the cancel culture, is like, where does it end? And people always like, well, it's a stupid. No, I think it's a fair question to ask. Of, you know, I mean, are we going to? I don't know where it is. What if you're a guy who can do a girl's voice, or a girl that can do a guy character voice, or a boy character? What about that? What if you're straight, but the character that you're playing, like Bruce in Family Guy, isn't straight? What about that? I mean, it's a cartoon, and that's the frustration I think people get. They just look around and they say, is this what we're becoming? A little bit. I mean, it's frustrating a lot of people, and rightly so. I think, you know, I'm frustrated with a lot of it. I like Cleveland. I like Consuela. He plays Consuela, Mike Henry, as well. I don't watch The Simpsons, so they're all yellow, right? Most of them yellow. I never was really into The Simpsons. It's never people. I love The Simpsons. I just never like Bob's Burgers. I don't get Bob's Burger, so I don't. I've tried to watch it a couple times. I'm like, I like Archer. I like Family Guy. I love South Park, but it's you sit back and you're like, I don't get it. Just don't get it. What's next? Right? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Crazy day, right? We got spiking numbers across the country with COVID. SCOTUS shot down a challenge to the abortion law in Louisiana. Trump retweeting yesterday a white power thing that was just a bunch of old people inside of golf carts yelling at each other. That was just that right there alone. We got the usual Karens and Kens out there breaking stuff. Oh, my Lord. You sit back and you say, 2020 has been a hell of a 6 months. We're so close to July 1st. As that page turns and we head into these final 6 months, is it a hold my beer moment, or is it time for the more mature second side of 2020 to take over? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Big shout out. My little sister had her baby yesterday, baby Elle. Welcome to the world. Sorry there's chaos. We promise we won't screw it up. Have a great rest of your day. Night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.